We start at Twillingate, which is on an island by itself, where we have quite a large army corps. And this is at Crow Head, one of the outposts of Twillingate. And there you see two veteran salvationists bowing their heads in prayer. They lived in that house, the envoy and his wife. And then we marched from Crow Head back over the hills and through the valleys to Twillingate. And this little snapshot is of the cadets starting out from the quarters at Twillingate, bound for, eventually, New World Island. The equipment that the kids are carrying are for the purpose of putting on dramas and presentations of various kinds. We went from Twillingate Island to New World Island by boat. I call that the Queen Mary, well loaded with passengers. We're on the Queen Elizabeth coming on behind.
That's good.
A little farther on our journey, the motor broke down, and somebody said, no wonder it broke down, carrying such a large number of folks. We're arriving here at New World Island, and we've had quite a long walk to our first appointment in the island. I snapped these ducks, and here's a woman cutting her husband's hair. I couldn't resist the temptation to take that picture.
There's Mrs. Gennery.
Miss Gennery in the front. Vera Dix, who came just walked by there. Major Vera Dix. She was a cadet of that same session. That's Cadet Ray Pond.
Oh yes, I know Ray Pond. He followed me into Glace Bay.
Yes, and later on, his last appointment was at Hamilton Public Relations.
Yes.
Just before he retired.
The boat stuck there, eh?
Yes, boat broke down, and here we are being towed for the rest of the journey. And that brings into Comfort Cove. And at Comfort Cove, you'll see a picture of Major or Captain and Mrs. Keeping as they were then. Mr. Evely, the lobster factory, was the Salvationist who owned the factory, and he gave us all this very special treat. This brings us now to Morton's Harbour, which is the birthplace of General Clarence Wiseman. Our hostess was engaged in feeding a flock of sheep, and I wanted to have a turn too. Try to be scriptural, feed my sheep. Mrs. Gennery took her turn at it. And then our assistant of those days, Captain Eva Duffett. So she took over, and just by way of fun, she acted as a part of the sheep. But the potato peelings were not very tasteful. On our way now to Change Islands, across the bay, there's Eva Lundringen, she was, Mrs. Major Jennings, manning the pumps to pump the water out. One of the cadets decided to have a siesta in the dowry that was being towed behind our boat. And then we were fascinated by this iceberg in the distance. And one of the coastal trawlers, the Bessie Marie, was passing in front of the iceberg at the time. And I was curious enough to urge the captain of our vessel to go near it.
It's close to it, isn't it?
It is getting close. Somebody said after they were very foolish because that iceberg could have turned over and with disastrous results. But I've always been a little bit venturesome in trying to do some things that were dangerous. Change Islands, where we spent at least one night, perhaps two, and from there we went to Herring Neck. And the Army Hall was here, and we have a picture there again of Major Clayton Thompson, who was traveling with us.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very rocky shoreline in the islands that dot the area picturesque. Now this is where we're at Twillingate on the wharf, and the people are getting ready to welcome Joey Smallwood, and they're not shooting at him, they're shooting for him.
There he is.
And there he is, waving his arms with the Salvation beside him, and overhead a sign that says sunrise. Symbolic, no doubt. This is not a post picture, this is a cadet who knelt in prayer with a man on the streets of Gennery. And so we start off with the cadets and a very energetic Newfoundland dog. This is Gennery telling the dog to behave itself.
Quite the snow.
Winter, yes, it was a winter of very heavy snow. This picture was taken outside of our training college on the Marchant Road. And they had rather modern equipment for the removal of snow in those days.
Quite modern, really, when you think about it.
Yes. Well, they had to be ready to cope with all sorts of situations. That's the training college in the background. And that's a more direct picture of the training college behind the snow removal equipment. Taken from the upstairs window of the training college, trying to free the Marchant Road, some of the impediments caused by the snow. That was followed by a worse blizzard. And here's one of the cadets shoveling his way out to the front door, front entrance of the college. Shortcut. Our next door neighbor, this young girl, shoveling her way out the house in the midst of the blizzard. This would be in 1946. See how high the snow is piled. Cars were sometimes partially, yes, very, very deep. Some motorists were in trouble when they found their cars covered by snow.
Horse travel was better that year, wasn't it?
It certainly was. The blizzard finished. Now we see the aftermath of the storm. Schoolboys at their usual pastime, a military jeep, looking down onto the harbour of St. John's toward the Southside Hills. Yes, a policeman on duty. Notice the passages along the streets weren't very wide between the snowbanks.
No, they weren't wide, were they?
No.
Just enough for the horses.
This is my wife and Captain Rita Pelle, struggling along our street, trying to make their way home. Some people hadn't cleared their walks of the snow. To mail a letter was no easy task. Dear, oh dear. You see what's left of this road. That's not the only way you get along. And the sidewalk on the street.
Right.
I'm glad this is my car. This is our backyard, and the fences are all covered so the skiers could go from one property to another without going down into driveways, except our driveway, which was cleared. Now we move into spring, and this is the VE Day Parade, celebrating the close of the European part of World War II.
Is that the Army band?
No, I think the Army band is coming along in a moment.
Yeah.
Yes. From the servicemen. Now this is the Salvation Army band. This is the St. John's Temple band. That's the police band. American personnel with the Stars and Stripes helping to celebrate the conclusion of the war. Another Salvation Army band, that from Adelaide Street Corps.
Quite a parade.
Oh yes, it was. And it was a day of great jubilation because St. John's was actually in the war zone. We had total blackout all through the war.
Is that right? No.
Well, German submarines just off the coast. This is the Army Red Shield
Oh, yeah.
float there. And one little flicker of light would silhouette anything between the submarines and the shore. It could be a target for the submarines. This is Gander Airport. And our friends, Colonel and Mrs. Burton Pedler, were just taking off for the mainland. They're being transferred from St. John's back to Canada. I say Canada because Newfoundland was not a part of Canada at that time. This is Bay Roberts, so that's Major John Pike on the extreme right, and my wife on the left, walking toward the Army Citadel. Some general views of Bay Roberts, a quaint little town on Conception Bay. Clark's Beach, just a few miles from Bay Roberts. The nice hill as a background.
Beautiful, yeah.
Men here working, as I recall it, on a new breakwater. The waters of the ocean that erode the shoreline, had to keep it under constant repair. We're out on the west coast again now. This is Deer Lake, the powerhouse of Deer Lake. We've been at Corner Brook or Deer Lake for the weekend, on our way back now. Crossing what they call the topsails, the highest part of the railway line. You'll see the front part of our train with the plough in front. Now we're at the back of the train. Some of the buildings were pretty well buried by the snow.
Yes. This would be the snow of 47, eh?
Yes. Yes, this would be the winter after that earlier snow scenes. We're in the spring now of 1947. We took the men cadets by air back to Gander and then on to Hare Bay. There we are marching on the main street of Hare Bay. I say the main street, probably the only street. This is a little glimpse of Dover, called Wellington, back in those days, where the Salvation Army was the only church. That was a brief look at Captain Cull. Cadet Cull he was. That's the new, or was the new citadel at Hare Bay. The cadets are loaded on the truck going back to Gander. And wherever you go, you usually see friendly Newfoundland dogs, and there was one. The cadets going to get on board, campaign finished, bound for St. John's. The women had gone in a different direction to do a campaign of their own. But we found it too costly to take all the cadets by air. So that was one reason we divided into two groups. Mrs. Gennery was the last one to get on board, I think. Taking off. There's fleeting glimpses of the landscape below us. A land of trees, rivers, lakes, ponds. There are some of them. Some more.
Yeah.
Above the clouds there for one moment. Now we're coming down at Torbay Airport, St. John's. Cadets are disembarking. We went to a Carboneer for no special purpose, but more of a visit. But that's Major Lynn Evelyn in the light uniform. He was visiting Newfoundland for some special purpose, and with him was Adjutant Douglas Sharp, later Colonel Doug Sharp. These are some of the flights for the fish, or the landing stages for the boats. Here we stopped on a lovely sunny afternoon under the shelter of one of the fleets to have some lunch. There's a close-up of Colonel Evelyn. Bay de Verde, on the tip of the peninsula there, separating Conception Bay from Trinity Bay. These are views of that settlement. That's the other side. Still another view. To give an idea of a typical Newfoundland fishing outport.
And then again.
Yes, Evelyn again. This film is a picture of the Fearless Session in 1944-45. This is a picture of the cadets in their dining room at the premises at night before the Marching Road in St. John's. You see the cadets are busy in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Cadet Aubrey Pike.
Good old work sections.
Yes, work sections. Leonard Monk taking out the garbage. Cyril Poole. Somebody busy waxing the floor. Now we move to the classroom. And this is the Bible class being led by Mrs. Gennery. Frances Budget was on the left. Sadie Edmonds, who since passed away. Mrs. Gennery showing the Bible lands on the map. And Cadet Haggett moves the front of the room. This is Cadet Budget. Some instruction. That's Clarence Thompson. Some practice in leading singing, leading meetings. Now we move to the dormitory for private devotions. That session was our smallest session. We had 6 men and 4 women. So we're now in the women's dormitory for their private devotions. Private study period. Searching the scriptures. We had a pawn shop in those days where articles left lying around would be picked up and for the sum of 2 cents would be returned to the cadets.
There you are, Colonel.
Yes, this is myself in the office, an interview with Wilbur in England.
Oh, Wilbur, yes. In Africa.
He later became a missionary in Africa. Now we're in our weekly class. Captain Eddie Pike was at the piano. She lived with us. She taught school at the Salvation Army College, and she was a great asset to us in those days. We're still in that weekly class meeting.
Now black and white.
Black and white. This is War Cry Day. Cadets leaving the side entrance of the old building on the Marching Road, which is, incidentally was not very old in those days. Only our 2nd year using those facilities.
Look at the snow, too.
Yes. As you can see, it's a winter's day in St. John's. It's on Prince of Wales Street. No sale there. Move on to the next house. Try again.
Yeah, right.
Now returning to the college. Visitation Day.
Oh.
And that's Mrs. Bertie Lieut, who posed for that picture. Most of the people here, we don't know who they are. They're just passers-by on the street. Cadets would tackle them, speak to them about their soul. This boy is doing some snow shoveling. That's Sadie Edmonds again, speaking to a boy. Let's move on. There's a man delivering coal. Individual bombarding. Cadet holding forth on her own, kneeling prayer in the course of our open-air meeting.
Quite a scene.
Yes, those men were there, the man there. It was not posed, it was an actual, he was just taking part in the service. Giving the horse a drink for the fire hydrant. And while the horse is drinking, somebody speaks to him about the water of life. Another man on his rounds being stopped by the cadets. This man was under the influence of liquor. As I passed by, I happened to see the cadet talking to him. We hope he remembered afterwards what was said to him. This is persistence in action. Don't let the man get away. At school, coming out of the temple in St. John's, school children. Now we're on campaign with the Fearless Session, and these pictures were taken in Clarendale. A little gosling.
Clarendale, eh?
This is Clarendale.
Things have changed, I guess.
Oh yes, they have changed greatly since those days. There are just various views of the community. This is Port Blandford. We have no corps there now, but the army halls remained in use over the years as an outpost. The cadets aren't marching as fast as they seem to be marching. I think that's the fault of the camera there. Yeah. Outside the railway station at Port Blandford, and a cadet is detailed to go into the station to talk to the station master. You see by the flag, there's quite a wind blowing, as there mostly was in those coastal towns. Cleaning teeth.
Oh boy.
Had to make the best of what facilities were available. Yeah. We're headed down toward the wharf now because we're going to move by boat to Charlottetown, Newfoundland. Oh. Now there's a road through there but in those days the only access to Charlottetown was by boat. I think the men are handling the women a bit roughly in spots.
Looks precarious.
Yes, oh yes, you take your life in your hands, you're used to in those days. And these are some various views of the scenery around that part of Bonavista Bay. Very picturesque. Now we're back to the color film. This gives a clearer picture. The coast of Newfoundland are always very picturesque, no matter what part of the island you're in.
Yes, it is.
To me, it was always a fascination of the rocks and the hills, trees, the bays.
I visited relatives down in Buren, and it was beautiful.
Ah, yes. Now we're coming close to the little community of Charlottetown, where Lieutenant Lieut was stationed. now Mrs. Curtis Keating. We're approaching the wharf. Where crew and passengers get aboard. That's Captain Rita Pelley, who's very enthusiastic.
Yes.
Some of us have left the ship, and these are being transported to the various parts of the village, the port, to go to their billets, get ready for the first of the public meetings. They're not cadets. You can see what they are. One black sheep in the crowd.
Yes.
The lady you saw there was Mrs. Haley, I think her name was, and that was the home where my wife and I were to be stationed for the 2 days that we were in Charlottetown. And that's the little Army Hall. And the cadets now are going on the main street.
That's good color.
Yes, in fact, the one and only street in the town, so it must be the main street.
And even by the lake.
Yeah,
The,
by the sea, yes, that's the part of an inlet from the sea. I suppose this is quite unique in many Salvation Army circles,
I guess so.
campaigning in small communities such as these. Back to the hall after the open air. There's some men bringing the kelp, which is used as fertilizer for their farms. We're going to dispose of that in the cemetery, apparently. Modern plowing.
Yes.
This is in Gamble, actually Middlebrook, which is the Army Corps is at Middlebrook, a small community a few miles from the railroad line at Gamble.
Quite a corps there now, isn't it?
Oh yes, it always has been quite a large corps at Gamble. And I couldn't resist the temptation of taking a picture of the sheep being sheared before and after.
Yes.
This is Leonard Monk
Oh.
at his dwelling place, doing a little kindness for the lady of the house, getting the water from the well. The Salvation Army School at Dark Cove.
The dog race.
Yes,
The dog run.
recess time, boys having a little bit of fun. This is the mill at Middlebrook.
Is that all gone now?
I don't know. It may still be there. I couldn't say. That would be one of the main industries of that little town. But most communities have their mills. Some more plowing, the oxen. Oh. Yes. This is still a part of the mill operation. See the men at their precarious task, releasing the logs to prevent any log jam on the Gamble River.
It does look precarious, all right.
Yes,
I guess that's a main industry, logging.
yes, under the
It's a narrow road.
Yes, and here we are pursuing a horse instead of a horse pursuing us. We're on our way back now by boat. We're bound for for Glovertown.
Oh, there's Mr. Gennery.
Yes, that's a close-up picture of my wife.
There she is again.
Yeah.
Must be windy there.
Oh, it's almost always windy. And although it was the month of May, it was cool enough. Here's a man doing some acrobatics for us to entertain, make life a little more interesting. I think I said we're going to Glovertown. Actually, we're going first to Hare Bay.
What little guns are they?
They were shooting some seabirds. Ah, that's right. Handle them rough, boys.
Quite a wharf.
Yes. We're coming now into the little community of Wellington, it was called then, at Dover now. This is the opening of the new Selfish Army School. That's myself opening the door, declaring the building open. Captain or Lieutenant she was then, Beryl Harris, was the corps officer and teacher, and her assistant, Hazel Reed. As you can see, it's a very rugged part of the coastline. And the Salvation Army is the only church in Dover. We've gone from Dover to Hare Bay, where the Salvation Army has quite a good corps. That was the old citadel you could see in the distance, just passed by. We're now leaving Hare Bay, and now we're bound for Glovertown. Rather a long way around the peninsulas. The choppy waves of Bonavista
yes.
Bay.
There's so much on the sea, isn't there?
Yes, it's. We used to find it very exciting in our travels around. Nowadays, there are roads to all these places. In fact, some of the smaller outport communities have been abandoned, and people have moved to larger centers.
There are roads to most places now, though, aren't there?
Yes, practically all places. The army flag was always at our masthead. Somebody would see to that it's being carried. This is Major Clayton Thompson, who was the corps officer at the time. He was in command of the corps at Glovertown. There's one of the old-fashioned cars. Came to meet us, transport us. There were some fishermen mending their nets. These are the grounds of a paper company that was no longer in operation, but the authorities placed the area at our disposal for building purposes. Shortly after this, a forest fire swept through the area and destroyed all of these buildings and the trees.
Was that right?
Yes. Forest fires were not uncommon. In fact, Glovertown, the whole community was destroyed. But that's the mill, as you saw. We had some leisure moments as well as times of activity on our campaigns or crusades.
water
the
wheel.
old water wheel. A little fun,
Yeah, why not?
yes. The lobsters. It was a frisky dog. His name was Whiskey. And I think Whiskey was, his life was lost in that fire that I mentioned. And later on, but there were two dogs. I forget the name of the other one. It's Major Clayton Thompson. Contributing to the excitement of the moment. This is Sunday night now. We're going to the meeting at Clovertown. And this is the open air beforehand. You see a man in a cart without legs. He was, there are the drummer girls. Here's a man giving his testimony. This was marking the end of our crusade. Now you'll catch a little glimpse here of, I was going to say of cadets, but they're not cadets. They're coming in the distance, led by the man without legs, pulled by his dog. And some of the soldiers of the Corps,
Junior soldiers, eh?
juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
You see them filing into the Army Hall now for our Sunday night meeting. In fact, I think the place was overcrowded. Some couldn't get in, had to be turned away.
Yeah.
Monday morning, school, the Army school, recess time.
Okay. One of the rivers, huh?
Yes, that's the, I forget the name of the river. The railway station there was called Alexander Bay. The cadets were intrigued by the frogs, bringing the wood for the school, the firewood. This is a little settlement nearby. If I remember correctly, it was called Rosedale. Always,
Rather awkward.
yes,
to
I
get on the
always
boat.
get a great thrill seeing my wife getting in other boats. And I couldn't resist the temptation.
Pretty tricky.
More wood. We're having a cook-up here. We'll have a little pleasure to ourselves. A real Newfoundland hobby.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Yes, there's the man there who's, I think that's his summer residence.
Oh, I see. They had summer residents.
Yeah, one of the fishermen. A little glimpse through the trees.
water again.
I believe we're coming to the end of this film now. The waters above us the bay, and so our campaign ends.
Right.